Welcome to Weightless Coaching. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Sean Grabner, your host for Coffee and a Chat. Thanks for joining me. This is the Weightless Coaching Coffee and a Chat segment where we talk about the mechanics and the mindset of transformation. So, today specifically, we're talking about food and your moralization, the moralization of food. Making food a good thing or a bad thing for you. Instead of just looking at food, the alternative could be just to look at food as just neutrally. It's just food, and we have choices around it. But in order to make good choices and clear choices, if we're judging the food, we're saying it's good or bad. We digest that feeling. We have a relationship with the food, even though we don't eat the food. It still impacts us. It still comes on the inside. We see it, we think about it, we judge it, we feel those emotions, we digest our emotions. We don't just digest food, we digest emotions. And so you have a relationship with the food that you hate. A lot of times we hate that we love food. We hate that we have our favorite, sinful delights and pleasures and things like that. And that's, again, another one of those areas where by calling it a sinful pleasure or thinking about it in that way, you are setting up a stress condition in your body, because there's two sides of you. One side of you wants it and loves the delight and loves the pleasure, and the other side of you hates that you love the delight and the pleasure, because it thinks that, oh, this is hurting your body, this is, that you shouldn't be eating this kind of food, and blah blah blah. And it's a much bigger topic. I'm not just saying go eat anything, we should just love food and everything will be fine. What I'm saying is that in order for us to make good decisions and good judgments, we have to begin to see food as it really is, which is like a blank. We got a blank. Start with a blank slate. We have to let go of our judgments about it. So something that we don't notice about moralizing food. You make it good or bad. If you eat a bad food that you think is bad, like you sneaking cookies or whatever, you're going to find a way to punish yourself. One way or another, you'll find it. It's part of our psychology, because you've done wrong, so you must be punished. It's a system of punishment that we have in our minds that needs work, inner work. That's that inner work, is sort of relieving that system of punishment. And food is one of the paths to do that. It's really a healing path. Weight loss is a healing path. It's not a, I gotta get myself together. It's I can become a whole new person through this process. I can relieve not only the weight, the physical weight, but the emotional and mental weight that all the physical weight represents. That can all be removed too through the process of trying to improve your health, losing weight, getting more exercise, exposing yourself to new activities, things like that. And believing in yourself too. I mean, you believe in yourself in the gym, you can carry, that's a skill. You can carry that over into other things that you do. And anyway, I don't want to get off topic. Another thing is, a lot of people fear pleasure, because we think, especially from food, we think if we like the food too much, we're not going to be able to stop. And that is, again, a stress response. And what we do is we're exacerbating the problem by being afraid of the pleasure. If we would just accept the pleasure, we'd be able to process the pleasure, digest it, and then really understand it in the full context of our patterns. Okay, and it's hard to describe, but you begin to develop a better relationship with the foods that you do get pleasure from, and you begin to think, do I really want this cookie or this cake or this dessert or this spaghetti dinner or whatever? And you begin to realize that sometimes that's a nice treat, but it's really not for me today. I really do, and you can feel it through, not just by logically thinking, but through your whole system. You can understand, my system's not really in the mood for spaghetti today. or I'm not in the mood for all the bloat that I get from spaghetti. Although sometimes it is a nice treat. And then you can also start managing sensing your limits, your what's enough, right? Because you end up realizing that you don't want to feel bloated. You prefer the feeling of, um, having energy and feeling a little bit less full. So there you go. The last thing I wanted to mention is story. The internal story, the dialogue we have that goes on in the mind, the stories we tell ourselves, we attach to those, and they become our identity. And so, everything I've been talking about, moralizing food, judging it, these are all artifacts of stories. And when we begin to examine those stories and question them, ask ourselves the right questions, ask, there's so much available online. If you're asking yourself good, good questions, and you're asking Google good questions, eventually you will begin to come across, patterns, new patterns of thinking, new patterns of ways that you can approach weight loss and transforming yourself, and the way that you think about food. And that's one of the things that this channel is all about. One of the things that weightless coaching is all about. It's all about transforming your mind so that you can then transform, and your body transforms out of that. And it's an emotional thing too. And there's processes and tools we can use. I mean, we've got everything we need you've got everything you need to transform yourself. You have everything is available. Putting the pieces together is where we're at now. I think as a society is we are at the stage where we've got all the information, but it's scattered about like Lego blocks. Now what we want to do is build a new house, but we want to build it on a nice foundation. So we've got to cast off the old, lay the new foundation, which is up here, and it's also in here, and it's connecting the two. It's realizing this is useless without this, and this is cut off when this just runs on its own, thinking it knows everything. And there's so much to it. I know. I want to vomit it all onto into one video of the stuff I like talking about. And I'm excited to share with you, dear viewer. So anyway, that's what this video was about this morning. And I'm getting better at these videos. Thanks for being patient with me while I learn. Hope you got something out of it. And love your food. Just start there. Just start by loving your food. See it clearly.